So as we move into our closing panel, with our amazing U.S. women's national team here today, I want to show a video from the US-Brazil game, which I'm sure we all watched, and we all were gut-wrenching, and ultimately we came out victorious. So I wanted to share a movie with you.
This is our time. We know that it's going to be a fight to the end. Going against Brazil, who likes to play that mind game. They like to play the energy, the passionate side of things.
Hope your nerves are steady. Teams on their way. And this is a game which would grace the final itself. It's all business now.
The first few seconds of any match is exciting. The crowd's still rumbling. Your heart's pounding a little bit. There's still dew on the grass from them wetting the field.
Now Wambach let that run cleverly. Box keeps it in, pulls it back across the face of goal, and that's an own goal by the look of it. And the United States are ahead. What a start for the US.
This is our game. We feel like this is the moment. This is our tournament.
Chance of USA. Around the ground as Christy Rampone plays that towards Wambach, who got there before the goalkeeper. That could have been another goal. Lapel bet tries her luck.
Never did I feel like from the time we scored the goal.
And here's the foot race. And Marta wins those usually.
I never felt like
I'm trying to keep up with her. Marta doesn't finish it this time.
They were outplaying us. I felt like the chances were pretty equal.
Rodriguez made a mess of it, and that's given Fabiana another chance. Oh, it's hit the bar. Suddenly, the heat's just beginning to be turned up on the American defense.
Marta gets in a situation that Marta gets herself into, that she always wiggles herself out because she's so great.
Oh, brilliant from Marta. Bueller was sensationally good there. Now, what's the referee going to give here?
In that moment, I was thinking, all right, well, let's see who takes the penalty. And Christiane took the penalty, and Hope knew exactly where she was going because we talked about it the day before.
Christiane with a chance to put Brazil level. And Solo saved it! A hero again! Is it going to have to be retaken? Now, this is very controversial, and Solo's got a yellow card for that as well. This is highly contentious. And now Marta's going to take it. No, not this time. Brazil are level.
I couldn't believe it. So it's equalized, and we play down a man for the next 55 minutes. Not that I was feeling dejected or felt like we were going to lose now. I just felt like things aren't looking up for us. When regulation ended, we walked over to the bench. Nobody sat down on our team. Everybody was up, walking around, clapping for each other, cheering each other on. And you look over to the Brazilians, and they were all sitting on the ground. And for me, that was an emotional uplifter, because I thought, even with 10 men, we're still fitter, we're still stronger.
Cut back to Marta, who scores brilliantly for Brazil.
Well, this is going to be even more of an uphill battle. I kept saying to the girls, it just takes one chance.
Chance of USA from everybody here, and they're not all United States fans. Connie Lloyd! Over. Couldn't keep it down.
3 minutes of additional time. There is still life for the United States.
Christiane can buy some time down by the corner here.
Ball's in our own, deep in our own end.
Now USA have it. Eat away vital seconds.
Carly takes a bunch of different touches in the middle of the field.
To Rapinoe, and everybody's got a bomb forward now.
I was just thinking, I'm on the back post. Please just play me a ball I can head.
It will be a penalty shootout. Abby Wambach, whose goal rescued the United States from World Cup oblivion.
It's not about one save or one goal. It's about how you can do it all together.
Yes! Brilliant save from Solo. Brilliant save.
I knew that all of us were going to put away the rest of our PKs.
Ali Krieger can win it for the USA here. And she does! And the USA are into the last four!
That's the best part about being on a team. It's what makes this whole thing so much more special, because I can look at somebody else and look at them and say, can you just believe that that happened? and hope says, yeah, I can.
Sophisticated. There we go. Another round of applause for Abby, Lauren Cheney, and Alex Morgan, who are joining us here today. We're going to call them up, but first, I have help today with this interview, assisting me in moderating this panel. Former Mexican captain, Monica Gonzalez. Come on up. Now doing commentating for ESPN. And a big round of applause first, if you would, for the youngest player on the Women's World Cup team, playing in her first ever Women's World Cup. She's now all of 22 years old. Made the poor decision of going to Cal Berkeley, but sometimes we make poor decisions in life. Alex Morgan, come on up. Lauren Cheney, who is awesomely gone back to school to finish her last 2 quarters at UCLA. How great is that? So she's actually in school right now at UCLA. Olympic gold medalist. Lauren Cheney, come on up. And of course, the head we like to kiss a lot. 125 goals with the U.S. women's national team, 3rd all time. Mia Hamm has 158, Christine Lilly has 130, Abby Wambach at 125 is very close to passing Christine Lilly and has scored not just that goal against Brazil as you saw, but so many critical ones like in 2004 when she won the Olympic gold medal for us. Abby Wambach, come on up! So thanks for joining us in your craziness, 2 months post-World Cup. And most pressing question I'll start out with, because I know the audience is dying to hear this. If you were here last night, which ones of you would have been dancing at midnight?
I don't think that's actually a question.
I think I definitely would have been dancing.
You would have been
Cheney
dancing?
would have been dancing. I would have been drinking at the bar, and I don't know what Alex would have been doing.
I would have been asleep. It's bedtime.
Yeah, she's not allowed to drink it. She's too young.
She's not allowed to. Let's talk prior to the World Cup, just real quickly. And Abby, I'll start with you, because some in the room and some may not know that the World Cup qualification process was a bit of a challenge for the United States. Actually, the U.S. was the last team to qualify for the World Cup due to the playoff situation. So you go into this World Cup as a team not expecting, of course, to have to travel that road and play those 2 extra games against Italy. How difficult was it to recover from that, and what were the expectations then going into the Women's World Cup?
Well, I can first say that obviously we didn't expect to not perform well at the qualifying tournament. And we're playing in Mexico, and Mexico brings a great crowd. It's always a pretty difficult environment to play in, and they were the better team that day. I mean, it's hard to say. We had a lot of chances, but they played really well. And I remember everybody had kind of long faces after the game, even our coach. And I just remember feeling like it's okay. We still have a chance. And I like our chances, especially when our backs are up against the rope. The U.S. always finds a way to perform. And, it didn't take very long because we didn't allow ourselves to kind of sulk our heads and feel sorry. We just moved forward. And Pia was really good for us in that way because this is another opportunity to challenge ourselves, and she's always about challenging ourselves. And, I'm grateful for that experience, and I was saying that all along because it's so hard to create a World Cup or an Olympic-like experience. And to get it before you're actually participating in the actual championship is priceless. You can't buy that kind of training. So I think it worked out better for us in the long run in terms of getting that experience, and obviously I don't want to ever do that again.
Cheney, in soccer, we actually do use last names to refer to each other. Not everybody, but Cheney. going into the World Cup, the process leading up, you were not necessarily in the starting lineup. The games leading up, you weren't a part of the starting lineup, and then you found out the night before that you were going to be a starter. How did you adjust your preparation, or how did you get yourself ready on such quick notice to be a starter?
Yeah, leading up, I actually didn't even dress for the Mexico game in qualifying. So it was definitely a roller coaster for me. I was start one game, I wouldn't be dressed the next game. After Lindsay Tarpley got hurt, they decided that maybe I could play left mid, but I stayed at forward. So I never really got much training at left mid, just a couple practices. And it was actually on ESPN. We were watching the Germany game.
Way to go. ESPN blew it.
Yeah. And Megan Rapinoe and our pictures came up on the screen, and I had just left the room. And Amy Rodriguez runs to my room, and she's like, I don't know, it's a little weird, it's a little awkward, but they're comparing you and Pino. They're not sure who's starting. Did you know you could start at left mid? And we had a meeting earlier, and I was like, no. So I asked Pino, I was like, has she talked to you? She's like, no. I'm like, okay. So that day at pregame practice, I was starting at left mid, and they were like, yeah, don't tell the media, not yet. We're going to, let it known tomorrow. So we didn't say anything, and I was laying in bed. It was probably midnight. Abby was actually my roommate, and I'm like, Abby, am I good enough to play left mid in a World Cup? Because I don't think I am. And she was like, I have no clue, but you're good.
Awesome support, Abby. In a critical moment. Not sure, actually, Lauren.
But she said, she was like, you're good enough to be on that field, and you just have to make the most of it. But she was honest, because I had never played there. Literally never played there.
Awesome. Pia may not have told you, but she told Bob Holtzman. Never tell Bob Holtzman if you don't want it to show up on SportsCenter. I actually remember that. And that is such an, not only just to get a starting role, but a starting position you had never played in. And oh, by the way, it's a World Cup, the first game. Alex, first ever World Cup, a lot of people clamoring for you to have a bigger role on the team. You played played awesomely the role of super sub, as anyone who's followed women's soccer has seen, and scored some incredible goals. So people are constantly saying, give more minutes to Alex Morgan. How did you view your role going into that World Cup?
Well, in the beginning, Pia always told me my role, and she wanted me to understand. She put me in that position every single game. I don't know if I've ever started on the national team. Maybe one or two games out of my, 25 caps. But I'd come off the bench every game, getting between 5 and 25 minutes, and I knew that was going to be my role. And it was my first World Cup, and I was happy to get 5 minutes or 1 minute. I was happy to be on the roster. So Pia told me, and I embraced that role, and I wanted to make the most of it.
Yeah, I knew you were going to give me that. I really was just happy to be on the roster line. But I don't know if you know this about the ESPNW Summit, but what happens at the Summit stays at the Summit.
Her teammates are sitting next to her, though,
to millions of people right now.
No, but it's true, though. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be a starter. All I wanted to do was get some time, and I did get time, and she stuck to her word. She told me she was giving me minutes at the end of the game, and I would get more depending on how I did, how I performed. And, I don't think I performed very well in the first game or two that I got in. And finally at the very end, the last two games, I kind of turned it on. But that was my role, and I didn't think anything else. Like, I knew I wasn't going to be starting, and I was completely fine with that for the very first time in my life.
What was good about you, Alex, is that you every time you came in, you made a difference. And it wasn't just, I'm going to come in and try and score a goal. You didn't just come in and, try to get the glory for yourself. Every time you came in, you made a difference on the field, whether that was recovering balls or getting an assist. Last week in Portland, we saw you come in and do the same thing. And looking forward, I did an interview with you at the World Cup, and you said the same thing. I just want to help my team however I can, and then the World Cup happened, and you were wonderful, and you were one of these players who America was screaming for more of. Everyone wanted more of you, and I'm just curious how aware are you of all of that, all this fan support? How has that part of all the support everyone's given you affected you and motivated you for the future? You know, where do you see yourself and your role in this team through this next year, through the Olympic qualifiers, and on into the future?
Yeah. Well, I said before that, during the World Cup, I understood my role and I was fine with coming off the bench. But I'm still not happy not being in the starting lineup. I'm not content with myself right now. I want to push myself until, I'm in that starting position. I'm, starting for the U.S. Women's National Team and, gain more followers. But I do have that support, and I'm aware that people want more minutes, which I want more minutes too. But that's just the way it goes, and I'm so appreciative of the amount of support that I have, because you don't see, for not being a starter, I have really gained a lot of support, and a lot of people have put their trust in me.
She's really pretty, if you guys didn't notice.
Thank you too, Cheney.
She has pretty lip gloss as well.
She's really pretty.
No, I don't know where I was.
That's all right. Abby.
We can end with that.
Abby, let's go back to that Brazil game, which you voiced that piece, so we got to hear it from your perspective. But literally, 122 you score at, 122nd minute. And you guys have been down a player. So playing with 10 players for 55 minutes, and anyone who has played soccer knows playing with 11 players is hard enough on a field for that long. At 10 players, a player down is incredibly difficult. So how, in being down 2-1 before you score that goal, in the dying moments, a U.S. team had never not made it to the semifinals of the World Cup. So you have that pressure as well. How do you not think, oh my God, what is going to happen to this team?
Good question. I think the qualifying helped, because that was a moment where we all could have done that. We all could have had an opportunity to say, well, what if the worst case scenario actually does happen and we embarrass ourselves and don't qualify for this World Cup? So that situation kind of prepared us for dealing with those emotions in the moment on the field that day. You would have a sneaking suspicion. Carly hits the ball over the bar in the second overtime, and I think, because I kept saying at the time, it just takes one chance. And I thought, for a brief moment, maybe that was our chance. No, that's not, that we have one more chance in us. And it was almost like I was screaming, and it was obnoxious. People were like, you were so obnoxious.
That is seriously all she kept saying. All it takes is one chance.
And you guys, she fell to the ground before PKs, and she's like, everybody, calm down. And all of us were like, Abby, calm down.
For real, I was out of my mind. I don't. It's hard to explain it all. You can watch it, but to go through the emotional ups and downs to that game, it was almost. I think I took 5 years off of my life, for sure. But in order to deal with those emotions, you have to go through a process many years beforehand to be able to understand it, to know that it's happening, and to be able to still succeed and prosper through it. And it's like anything you do in life. It's like every little thing you learn, and all the mistakes that you make and all the failures you have allow you a little bit more ability to be better down the road. And I think that game kind of spoke a lot of volumes for our team. I think that there were a lot of things that our team hadn't really accomplished, and beating the odds might be one of them. I know, Julie, you're accustomed to winning gold medals a lot. The game's different now. It's so much more difficult to win. It's a much more sophisticated way of playing, better players, more money in all the federations around the world. So with all of the things going on, and truthfully, I think what helped was the energy in the actual crowd. The German crowd got really behind us after their players started to kind of play slow. It was first on us because we scored early, and then the energy switched to against the Brazilians. And I don't know, being a part of a situation like that gives you every opportunity for the rest of our lives to say, well, I know that I can succeed.
Well, and the interesting thing is I don't know how much you all have thought about this, and Lauren, I'm interested in your perspective. You're literally like 30 seconds away from no one talking about this World Cup. Or if they are talking about it, it's like, oh my gosh, what a disappointment for this team. And then, how did things change, Lauren, right after that game?
Yeah, I think, obviously, I was on the bench watching that game out in the beginning of the second half, and the whole time we're on the bench, girls are like, are you praying? Are you praying? Are you praying? Are we praying? What are we doing? Like, are we going to win this? Can this happen? Oh my gosh, this girl's freaking out. But everyone together, and I think that did go through our mind. Like, this is it. Like, this could be it. This could be the end. And I think that is the joy of sports. I know that I've heard Sue Inquist say, like, the game doesn't know who's supposed to win. She's UCLA. So, go Bruins. And I think that that's like total testament to that game. The game did not know who was supposed to win. And I think that's the joy of sports. And then now everyone's talking about it. And whether we had that happen, if we would have beat them 4-0, I don't think we would have had the support, everyone just like hooked like we did. But it was resilience. And I think people fell in love with that. We captured American hearts because we beat the odds. We did something that we shouldn't have.
How did the team change after that? You guys obviously had to have seen it was all over the place, all over television in the States. You were probably getting, Abby, you still weren't on Twitter yet, but you were probably getting all kinds of emails and messages and everything. The team, inside the team, in the hotel, how did the chemistry change? What did you guys, did you start believing more in yourselves, or did you guys have a conversation? Because you still had another game to go before the final. But we all saw a difference in you guys. What happened behind the scenes?
Well, I think that we believed in each other from day one, and like Abby said, we only need one chance. And I was on the field with her, and there was no doubt in my mind. There was 1 minute left in the game, and I still thought we were going to score. We're going to win this game, even when we were down with 30 seconds left, a minute left, whatever, injury time. So I don't think our mindset changed, but we couldn't stop talking about the game. The next day, we were like chatty Cathy's, talking it up the whole time.
Yeah, everybody had their experience. Everybody had their own personal experience, and they go back to the computer, and all of their families emailing them videos, and all of it was happening. So how do you, as a coach, how does Pia control that, right? So the next morning, we had a meeting, and she was like, have at it. Let's hear all the stories. I want to hear everybody's moments, what was funny, what made you cry, what made you laugh.
Smart, huh?
And so we got it out so that after that, we could turn the page and still stay focused and stay in our little bubble that we were trying to create so that we could continue to perform throughout the rest of the tournament. Because we hadn't won anything yet.
Yeah, and I think it confirmed how we felt about each other. I think people just got a glimpse of, like, even at World Cup qualifiers when it was awful, all of us were like, we're special. Like, this is such a special team. Nobody had turned on each other, and we were going through it. So it's like, okay, and I remember in Mexico saying that, like, this is such a special team. Like, we're so special. This is something that I've never been a part of. And then that game just confirmed everything that we felt for each other.
Except for the fact that I had to go on heart medication after all these. Jeez. Let's talk about the final. Because you can't make it easy, right? So the final, 81st minute, you guys are up, and Japan comes back. 117th minute, you're up again. 3 minutes. So first it was 9 minutes in regulation, 3 minutes of extra time. And I hate to do this too because I can see Abby right now, but I have to go back here, and I just discovered this stat the other day, and again I will apologize that there has never been a team in a men's or a women's World Cup final to lose 2 leads, and so how gut wrenching is that still today, knowing it was there in the palm of your hands? Who wants that one?
I'll
You're
take it.
mean.
I'll take it. I mean, it's been interesting because it's hard. It's not been long enough. We're all still dealing with it because we've been busy. I mean, we come home and we jump straight into our professional league. The professional league ends. We get a couple weeks off. Some of us are doing appearances all over the country. I literally haven't had much time to process it, truthfully. I will never get over it. I won't. And the reason why is it will be the thing that motivates me for the rest of my life. And Julie, I think that you were quoted as saying that if you didn't win a gold medal in '04, you were going to be a bitch for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Little bit go on. A little bit of that going on right now.
I feel your pain, sister. I
Abby,
didn't tell my husband that.
Abby, you will one day get over it, because we could sit and have a conversation later. But you know, I had to mark you probably more than any other defender in this world has had to mark you, and you have probably scored more goals on me than all other goals scored on me in my life. And and just to add on that, Abby scores goals all kinds of ways. She doesn't just score with her head. And if you saw the game in Portland last week, that was a good example. And that was why you're so hard to mark, because you're dangerous in all kinds of ways. But I'll just give you a little bit of advice. I'm wondering if you've ever heard the phrase progress, not perfection.
Sure, and I think, of course, I will get past it. I won't let it linger. I will turn the page come November 6th, our first training camp.
That's questionable. She still says, "Can you believe that happened?" So I don't believe it right now.
But it's like you haven't been able to process because you've been doing what? What have you guys been doing for the last 2 months? Where have you been? You've been all
Emotionally
over the place.
experiencing it over and over and over again. So maybe that's healing.
And
I
then
don't
I keep
know.
running into FOUDY, who keeps having to talk about it. Thanks.
But we're talking about it, which is good. It'll get it out there. And it keeps what we've started alive. And I think that that's the most important thing that I will take away from it in the positive way. That what we've done is create a buzz, and we've given women's sports another platform. And it's another level that we've had to take. And the truth is I don't know why it happened the way it did, and I don't know why we lost that game. Some people say that if we were to have won 4-0, it wouldn't have nearly had the same effect if we didn't go into overtime and lose to Japan, a country who had been devastated. So all the things that went in, it was almost a perfect storm, and we have to, it's our responsibility as athletes to continue to talk about it, even if it hurts, because it keeps everybody in this room passionate. And that is important to me. It's important that that's a legacy I leave behind. It's the legacy that Julie left behind to me and Mia left behind to me. And I just can only hope that for the girls who continue to play on this team and the girls who play whatever sport or go into whatever business opportunity or venture, that they go into it with some sort of goal or passion, because this is the tip of the iceberg. And we all have so much more to do. And I don't know how it's going to get done. I don't even know if something like this will ever happen in the rest of my career. Again, all I can do is just keep pushing on and working towards a better future.
Can you? And the wonderful thing about it is, look how many people you inspire, as you said. Can you give us any, Lauren or Alex, any insight into stories when you came home that people told you about, or kids that came up to you who said, because of this game, X, Y, and Z?
Well, when we got back to New York City, there were tons of people outside the W, and I was dreading it. I had like a boot on my ankle. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is so cool. Everyone's outside." I'm like, "Get me to bed, please," and I don't want to talk to anyone. But I went out and I was talking, and this guy was like, "I lost my job during the World Cup," and he's like, "I just want to let you guys know that like you gave us hope. Like you gave me hope, and I thank you for that," because he's like, I know that I can get through it. I was like, okay, I want to talk now. So I just thought that was cool, because it was a man. He was a man, a grown man, and he didn't have children, and he wasn't there, you know, creepily taking our pictures or anything like that. He was there to tell us that that we gave him hope, and I thought that was really cool.
least that you're aware of.
Yes. I haven't seen the pictures of it.
I have a good story for this room. They're gonna love it. So, best story that I've gotten from a reaction was 15-year-old boy comes up to me and he goes, "I want to be a women's professional soccer player when I get older." And I was like, "All right, we've made it, people. We have made it."
I love that. Alex, we won't necessarily get into social media here, but the whole dynamic of social media is fascinating because, correct me if I'm wrong, when you came into the World Cup, you were at 10,000 followers, right? When you got to the World Cup final, you were at 35,000 followers. By the time the World Cup final finished, mind you, they went into overtime, so she had an extra few minutes. She was at 130,000 followers. So from 35,000 to 130 in the span of a game, and is now well over 200,000 Twitter followers. What is that all about? Is it just crazy? Were you totally shocked by that?
Yes, but didn't we set a record on Twitter just for the most tweets per second?
More than the Super Bowl? More than what else, Laura? More than the Super Bowl?
The
Royal wedding, my God! That's even better than the Super Bowl.
But I really do need to watch what I say now, which kind of sucks.
You're what?
I need to watch what I say, what I write now. Because before it was just like, oh, fun, I have 10 followers and no one cares what I write. And now it's like, I say one thing wrong and people are, you don't want to see what people write back.
What do they write back?
Usually it's pretty nice to me, but you don't want to see what people write back to Hope.
Well, because she gets into arguments with that.
Oh, I've seen some of those.
So, of course.
She sets herself up sometimes.
Well, no, Alex, I think that's an important point because here you go from kind of 0 to 100 in a matter of minutes, literally. And you just said, now I have to watch what I write. But I think that, that in and of itself is what is so special about what we did. It is literally not only inspiring millions of people, but it's bringing faces and bringing names to these people on this soccer team that nobody knew before. And now it's creating somebody who will hopefully have a conscious mind and heart that you want all of these millions of little kids to follow you in the right footsteps. And so I think that that's really sweet. I think that that's a really cool thing.
Who finally convinced you to get on?
My agent. Dan.
But that didn't surprise me because you're a pretty outspoken person and you are very involved in different causes. Can you tell us a little bit about stuff that you do off the field, the causes that you're concerned that you care about?
Well, I'm involved with a lot of different organizations. My brother is a diabetic, so the Diabetes Association for sure. Another brother is epileptic, so the epilepsy deal. I am lucky. I've worked with Right to Play. I've been to Africa. Team Darfur with Joey Cheek. He's fantastic, and I'm lucky to have had the opportunities that I've had. Now I get to go do a lot more fun and exciting things. A lot more doors have opened since the World Cup, and I'm sure Alex and Lauren can both relate. And at the end of the day, it's now up to us what we do with the power, because what we have in general sense is a power. We have now a platform to speak, and I want to be a person that can, number one, not stutter when I speak, but somebody that can, I guess, inspire people, not with just my performance, but with the things that I do off the field. So whether it be out working with charity groups or inspiring people to just get out and get active, I think that now that's the kind of conscious choice all of us on the team have to make to continue the sport and its growth.
And that's a great point, though. You have this power. And how do you sustain that? Where do you want to see women's soccer in 5 years' time? And this isn't for any of you. Alex, I'll start with you. You're the youngster.
I'm a microphone hog.
Yeah. Put your mic down, Em.
Well, we need to, do what we can while we have this power and while we're, in the spotlight. And, I'm still young and I'm learning from Abby and a lot of older players, with what kind of organizations to get involved with and what I'm passionate about in terms of that. So, to sustain it, I really don't know, but I think we're all trying to take advantage of this and use it as much as we can to not only get women's soccer out there more, but women's sports in general. And matching face to the name, because a lot of times female athletes' names are thrown out there, and you finally meet them and you've never seen a picture of them. And I think that's so important to just for us continue to use the spotlight as much as we can and do as much as we can.
Lauren, how hard is that, though? We've seen the rise in interest in '99 with the World Cup team. The WPS still going through these growing pains and struggling a bit at times. How hard is that from a league level, from a national perspective, to keep people focused on women's soccer and women's sports?
I think that's extremely hard in general. I've been watching the WNBA finals too, and I don't even think they get the following they deserve. And so I think it's across the board in every single sport. I don't know if it's a respect issue or exactly what it is. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But I think it's important to grow from where we were. It's great. We have our names out there. Abby's the best header in the world. Alex may be the prettiest soccer player in the world. And she's going to be one of the best forwards in the world. And we have these players on our team who we have hope. She is the best goalkeeper in the world, and she's on Dancing with the Stars, and she's here. But we also need to make sure that they respect our game, that we don't just plateau at, we win the American way. Now we win because we're better, because we've trained harder, because we're technically as good as the men's side, and people can recognize that. And I think for our sport, just like basketball, Diana Taurasi's, those kind of players who can match men in their skills, I think that will be important for us.
We have probably about 5 minutes, so I wanted to open it up for a couple questions. Anne in the front, start with you. Don't ever give away the mic. Remember, TV rule number 1.
Take it from her, please. Speaking of Twitter accounts, I wanted to know if you were aware of your spin-off Twitter accounts, such as Wambach's head and Rapinoe's hair, and I don't know what else there is, but if you are aware of those, who's behind them?
What?
There's a Twitter account that's, so you have Abby Wambach, there's one that's Wambach's head.
Oh,
and they tweet.
They're pretending to be me?
They're pretending to be your head. They're pretending to be your head.
What does my head say?
A lot of really funny stuff, actually.
Really?
And they call you mom.
Yeah, cool.
And then there's one for Rapinoe's hair. Okay, so clearly you're not behind it. Okay. There's one for Rapinoe's hair, and somebody has a swag one.
Sola swag.
Yeah.
Alex Morgan's headband.
Lapelbit's beanie.
Yeah, I think they're just like little girls. I do.
Or maybe grown men.
I don't think it's grown men. I believe that it's little girls who just are obsessed with like that player, and so they tweet about it.
Dan, are you doing it? Are you sure?
Another question? Yes, Bonnie.
Well, Abby, you had Julie and me to learn from, and Alex, you being the young pup on the team. Is there a particular conversation with Abby or one of the older girls on the team that you recall that's really resonated with you, that's helped you grow as you, I don't even want to say get your legs because you did obviously play so well, but helped you grow, whether physically or mentally in the game?
Well, I don't think there's one specific occasion, but I've probably bothered Abby a little too much. I would ask her every practice, every time after a play, what did you think I did wrong? What did you think I did right? Do you think I could do anything better? What else could I do to help you? Every single practice. And she would take the time to actually tell me. And if she didn't have an answer, she'd be like, I'll let you know later tonight when I'll get back to you. So it's just little things like that has just helped me grow and take the little steps at a time that I needed to.
That's perfect. That's you guys. Unfortunately, weren't able to be here for the whole summit. Hopefully, next year you can come out. I think you'll get a lot out of it, and I see a lot in the two of you, the young ones, that it seems like you're prepared and you're ready to deal with the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But Billie Jean King was talking a little bit about, the pioneers, the trailblazers. So that would be FOUDY's generation and even older players than her, and how when they trailblaze, and then the generation that comes in after usually is pretty connected and follows the vision of the first ones, and that sometimes the third generation is the generation that gets lost and veers off. And so that generation would be the two of you. And it's very refreshing to hear that Abby is helping keep that alive, and that you guys are seeking out that help and humble enough to know, what it is, where it is that you guys want U.S. soccer to go, and where it is that you want women's soccer in this country to go.
Well, I think it's so important to obviously lead by example in this way, because the generation that's coming up is different than the way I came into the team. The team I just had to follow. I was like the youngest kid. I was like Alex, and I think how we keep the momentum going, truthfully, the answer is an unknown. Nobody knows how we can continue this. All I know is to do what I know, and money helps. So if you have big bank accounts, please help. With women's sports in general, it goes a far way. Being passionate about what you do. I've learned over my many years. I mean, Julia, I'm sure you remember how much I talked when I was younger. She actually bought me a T-shirt that said, "Help, I'm talking and I can't shut up." I'm not kidding. I was like...
She'd be in the back of the bus, we'd be like, "Put the T-shirt on! For the love!"
But I think that it's important to, obviously Julia was a very important person in my life and taught me a lot. And we as a team, you as also trailblazers in your own industry. And that's something that people don't understand. We get out on the field, we get to play, we get to be sweaty, we get to be fit, it's awesome. But there's, Amy producing all the ESPN games. I mean, nobody probably knows to thank her. I'm like, thank you so much. But ESPN, I mean, they invest millions of dollars because it's the right thing to do. And I'm tired of investing in women's sports because it's the right thing to do. I want people to invest in women's sports because it's the smart thing to do. It's lucrative.
Did we hear that yesterday?
Make you money.
Amen to that. I mean, that has been such a theme of this conference, and also the fact, which I think you guys are such a wonderful and refreshing example of, the courage needed in women's sports, the persistence, the dedication, the willingness in the face of being a player down in the 122nd damn minute to say, this ain't done. And so, and these are all the things that I think are so powerful when you bring passionate, not women, people, because there's great men in this room as well that believe in the vision of this. So thank you to the three of you and the craziness of what's happening post-World Cup to take the time to spend with us.